also need to be handled on a dairy farm from time to time for reasons other than milking. You may be handling just one cow, a few, or the whole herd. Perhaps for artificial insemination, veterinary treatment, scanning or vaccination, drenching, dry cow therapy, or teat seal. Ideally, the milking parlour should only be used for milking the cows. However, if it is just a one-off experience, some of these operations may be carried out on the rotary platform or herringbone parlour. The cows do not seem to mind and flow better in their normal surroundings, making the procedure simple, quick, and less stressful to the animals. However, at other times, a purpose-built race or head crush will be more suitable. In the supplementary part of the DVD on cow flow, I want to pass on some ideas that I've picked up from farmers on how to handle cows in other situations apart from the milking parlour. Whenever you handle cattle, if you have a basic understanding of how a cow normally behaves and what she likes, most processes can be accomplished fairly easily. If you're needing cows to do something different from the normal, then they'll need to be handled calmly and gently. Nothing should happen suddenly. Using gentle, encouraging voices, the same as for milking, will keep the cows calm. If you are in or near the milking parlour, turn on the radio or even the milk pumps. Familiar sounds help. When cows get stressed, normal herding behaviour breaks down. Cow flow stops as they try to escape. Whenever possible, try to handle cows in groups and not separated from their herd mates. One cow by herself is much more difficult to handle and more easily agitated and will try to escape to join the rest of the herd. If an individual cow needs attention, always leave at least one other with her as company. Always handle cattle from the edge of their flight zone. Different groups of animals will have different flight distances. When you are handling heifers or calves, you may need to keep further back because their flight distance is greater. A fence or pipe gate between you and them will make them feel safe and reduce the flight distance. A rope can be used to guide the animals up a race, allowing you to keep outside their flight zone. Always keep in mind the balance points of the shoulder and backbone. Use these to gently direct the animals in the direction you want. Make yourself look larger with a length of pipe if necessary, especially if you're by yourself in a paddock, but never use the pipe to hit the cow. Never use dogs in yards or collecting yards, and particularly never barking dogs. Barking always causes fear to cattle of all ages. This is worse in confined spaces when the noise echoes off the walls. Where special facilities are to be used, preferably check the design before you build. Get the correct width and height, depending on the size of your stock, and use a well-designed head bale at the end. Cows don't like to go into a dead end, so a bend in the race before the head bale or foot crush is a good idea. This will lead the cow in better and she's less likely to back up around a corner. These yards are set up really well for handling cattle. Everything is round in a circle. They come round from here into the race, and then they can come back into this part again. Everything is in a circle. Okay, to bring them round. They just continue round and down into the race. Here's what I'd call an ideal race for a dairy farm. There's access from behind the cow, both sides. When the cow puts her head through the bale, you can control it from behind. The head bale itself is ideal in that the top bar is high, 1.4 metres high, 1400 high, and the bottom part is low so that if the cow does go down, it doesn't suffocate her. That's 300 high. The width of the race is 660, so it's not too wide, they can't turn. And when you want to let the cow go, you just pull the ratchet and the gate opens up. The cow can be let out in the front, or she can also be let out on the side. There's access up the side as well. So if the cow goes down, there's a way of getting her out either way. The ideal crush for a dairy farm. However, where large numbers or a whole herd are to be drenched or given capsules, there's nothing better than a crush like this one. Head bales should be easy to operate from the side and out of sight of the cows. They should come in from the sides with no bar to trap a cow which goes down. The best kind are like these. Make sure the floor is not slippery or excessively noisy. If permanently installing a crush, use non-slip concrete for the floor. Don't use wood or thin rubber matting. They are very slippery when wet. Sometimes a cow will need to be singled out for treatment. Try to keep her waiting with a couple of others if at all possible. When working on her, make sure she is adequately restrained for the safety of both cow and operator. For many procedures, it is possible to manage in a herringbone or even a rotary platform, but this is not ideal. It is much safer for both the cow and staff to use a purpose-built crush. If the cow is upset, or if handling a bull in a race, put a rope over the top to prevent it jumping over the rails and injuring itself. You'll be amazed how it calms the animal down. It almost acts like a tranquilizer. I'm going to put a rope over the top so that if she tries to jump over the bars, she just hits the ropes and she'll quieten down. Lace your rope in a zigzag fashion over the top rail, from side to side above where the cow will be standing. Then attach a second rope to tie behind her as she comes in. When a cow is secured like this, she calms down and it's easy to do any treatment that's required. Some special situations can be made easier with a few tips and ideas that I've collected from farmers. Every year we need to train the new heifers to come and walk through the milking parlour. A few ideas that other farmers have found can help. Cows are good learners and respond quickly to training, so start training your stock from an early age. Train cows to respond to your voice. When your calves are very young, talk to them and call them from one paddock to the next. try to lead rather than herd cows. In fact, using the same come on call for calves and heifers ensures that when they are adult cows, they will come towards you when you call them. Then, when you call them into the milking parlour, they'll happily walk in. Some farmers like to use dogs to gather calves, heifers and cows. Some dogs are more patient than humans, but because we want to train the cows to come towards us into the milking parlour, it's best to train cows to come without dogs, even in the paddock. Remember, this is training. If you train them with dogs, you'll always need a dog. When the heifers are used to responding to your voice, it is much easier for you to train them to walk through the parlour. In herringbone sheds, mix heifers with cows 1 to 2 months before calving and get them first used to just flowing through the milking parlour a few times. Once they are flowing voluntarily, then spray their udders with teat spray. Then the next time touch their udders and spray before letting them continue through. When they have calved, they'll be ready to stand and be milked. Farmers are finding that teat sealing the heifers in the milking parlour when they are used to it is not a negative experience. If you have a heifer that jumps over the breast rail in a herringbone parlour, she will quickly learn that this is a good escape. First try putting her up the other side, or else add an extra bar just above head height and she'll stop trying to jump. With the occasional heifer that keeps kicking her cups off, lifting the tail or hooking it up over a wire will quickly quieten her down. In rotary sheds, put the heifers 1 or 2 months before calving in the yard with a few older cows. Open the gate near the bale entrance and allow them to exit without going onto the platform. So you get them used to first coming in, mix them maybe with a few older cows and get them walking through, but they'll come to the front of the yard as their exit. When the heifers calve, they'll know to come towards the front of the yard, so then encouraging them onto the platform will be easy. A swing gate or rope that can come up behind them will help push them onto the platform. It only takes a couple of times before the heifers will enter voluntarily. Feeding on the platform isn't essential, but makes training even quicker. If you're going to teat seal, this will be a good opportunity to allow them to stand on the platform during their training. On the day of the treatment, again mix adult cows with them and you'll be surprised how quietly they stand for the procedure. The same principles used to train heifers can be used to train adult cows. When changing from one design of shed to another, it will take 4 to 6 weeks before the whole herd flows well if the changes happen halfway through the season. Cows adjust much quicker if the changes to the new milking setup happen at the beginning of the season. Procedures such as vaccination, drenching, or putting in bloat bullets are made simple if the animals are used to the facilities. When putting in bloat bullets or Rumensin, make sure you use a well-designed head bale for the safety of both yourself and the animal. Calves and heifers will flow well into the facilities if they have been through just once or twice previously without having a bad experience. If trained first, they'll not lose the training because of vaccination, drenching, or even pregnancy testing. Remember that their flow through the race or yards will be quick if the facility is well designed and the people handling the stock are calm and gentle. So, in summary, when handling individual animals or groups of animals, always act calmly yourself. Remember that they need personal space. Keep to the edge of it. In the end, with less stress, noise and pressure, the animals will learn to flow quicker.